want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Welcome to the Unblocked Creators, Hussain Ibarra. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a while coming. You and I meet weekly with some other writers for the past while and talk about what we're up to, what we're creating. And so we see each other quite frequently, but now I get to know you a little more. So pry into the details of your life, and we're going to unveil all the secrets of your success.
Awesome, man. Can't wait. I mean, honestly, it is kind of crazy. We meet every single week, but we haven't really spoke one-on-one.
Barely. Yeah. Before you put that group together, we call ourselves the Vibing Scribes. And before that group that you assembled was put together, we had one call. And we mentioned doing a podcast, and it's taken till now. So, but we'll give the audience some updates also on what's happened in between then and now, because a lot has happened in like 3 months. An interesting time. But first off, you're an online writer, and you teach other people about writing on the internet to grow an audience, how to monetize writing. You make your living writing on the internet. And meanwhile, you're also a student. So pretty amazing that someone can be a student and also make a good income by writing online.
Yeah.
You talked about how you were an employee. You went and you became an engineer, and you've worked as an employee, and you said you were a shitty employee. And lots of walking around like trying to look busy and that sort of thing. And so what was it that made you realize that kind of employment maybe wasn't really for you? And then how did you realize writing might be your path?
Like in my last semester when I was in my undergrad, I saw so in the summer of 21, I think, I went and I had to get an internship so I can graduate my undergrad. In that internship, I got to see how the field is, like how engineers work, their day-to-day lives, and all of that. But one thing that I saw almost in every single one that was working there was that they were all miserable in their jobs. And for me, as a guy who was at the time 20 or 21, or 20 or 19 years old, I was like, that what they're doing is me in 20 years time. So it's like foreshadowing my future. And I was like, okay, I need to do something else. And so in my last semester of uni, I started thinking of ways on how I can start something of my own. So I tried affiliate marketing, tried to learn social media marketing agencies. I tried to also do some SEO. I failed at all of those three things, but then I started thinking maybe I should just accept my fate and become an employee, let all of my dreams wash by. But then I discovered a guy called Dan Ko, and he talked about a video titled The Modern Renaissance or something like that. And it talked about the one-person business, and I liked it. So I started really writing online as soon as I graduated from my undergrad. And I had that summer where I wanted to build something online. And I legit thought I was going to get 10K followers in 3 months. It took me 3 months to get my first 100, which is kind of like a funny reality. But yeah, so I couldn't make it in the 3 months. That's when I got a job. It just made me feel super depressed every single day, getting stuck in traffic, spending 8 hours of my day not doing something I actually care about. made me just realize, okay, I can't really stay here for forever, because if I do stay for too long, then I will become complacent, and that's gonna become my whole life. Um, then I read a book called um, The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. So whenever I was like in between tasks at my job, or whenever I'm waiting for a new task, I would just read this book, and everything that I was reading, I was just like, yep, I can't stay here for too long, you know? And so I just started like fucking around in the job, not doing any real work. I would there was one game I was playing a lot at my job, which is called like Monkey Type, which is just like typing really fast to see how far. So whenever my boss would like walk past me, I would open that tab, and I would just seem like I'm typing like crazy. So this guy must be doing a lot of work, but he doesn't really know that I'm just like playing a game or whatnot.
Practicing your typing speed for your creator career.
Yeah. And I got super fast at typing because of it. So
Oh, that's
yeah.
hilarious. We'll have to have a typing contest sometime.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. Like I don't know, how fast do you type?
Oh, I think I could stay accurate to like 60 to 70 words a minute.
Okay.
Not bad. I think
Yeah.
I could get up to like 90 if I'm just going crazy, but that's not how I would normally type.
Yeah. No, I mean typing is kind of hard, to be honest. Um, but yeah, like I was just like playing this typing game all day at the office, and then whenever I would come back, is I would start writing online. And I think I don't know if you know this, but when I was working, I was up at 5 a.m. I would write for like an hour, hour and a half, try to schedule all of my posts, reply to all of the comments I had the day before, and then I would leave for the job, come back, or like finish my job at around like let's say 3. I would go to uni. So at that time I also enrolled back to unis to get my master's. I would finish my classes at 8. Then I would go to the gym. I would go for a run. I'd come back home at 11. I would write for like an hour or two, and then I would sleep again, and then up at 5 again. So my life wasn't much of a life for like a solid moment.
Yeah, you made some sacrifices,
Crazy sacrifices. Like
but it's
the
working
big,
out pretty well. Now you have well over 20,000 followers on X. A lot of
yeah,
people read your regular newsletters, including myself, and
shit.
and you have people enrolling in your programs.
Hmm.
And so those sacrifices have paid off, because now you're not envisioning that future of being a miserable engineer.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like genuinely, writing online really did change my life, and that's almost always in my newsletter. I always try to talk about like, hey, start writing online because it will change your life.
Yeah. Well, you're one of the first people who kind of crossed my radar when I caught wind of the same opportunity, which was really only just over a year ago for me.
Hmm.
And same deal. I mean, I had discovered Tim Ferriss a long time ago, but Dan Coe, with and his articulation of what's going on with the creator economy,
Hmm.
that really got me to realize what was available here. So I
Yeah.
started writing a newsletter, and being this kind of woodworker, hobby psychology student, all these different things, he helped me realize, oh, like writing in a way that lets you merge various interests, and then creating some kind of specific value proposition, something you
Yeah.
can help people with, solving your own problems and then helping others solve those problems. That was a profound shift for me. Dan seems to come up in a lot of my episodes because so many people have been influenced by the guy. He's a
Yeah.
big fish. But then I found you because Dan even was promoting you at that point. Like, you were in some of the Cortex courses, his writing program.
Yeah.
Um, you were your threads, your viral threads, were used as examples.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember back in October, I think the first time.
Okay. Yeah, so your name kept coming up. I'm like, oh, this guy knows how to write threads. and and it turns out you're kind of the threads guy. People know you as the guy who knows how to write viral threads.
Yeah.
And some of your threads have been copycatted here and there.
Even translated to different languages, which is
Oh,
kind of crazy. Like some people brag about how their books got translated to different languages. I'm bragging about my threads
yeah.
being.
It's probably not a common experience.
Yeah.
So, how do you've talked a little bit about how, at the beginning, people can be too focused on trying to be original and then miss out on learning what works, right? How do you find that balance between like templates or guideposts and not straight up copycatting the people who are successes,
Yeah.
but also finding your own voice and originality? How do you discover that?
One thing I like to always say is you don't really find your voice, which is very crazy. Like when I tell people you don't find your voice, you actually develop it. And what do I mean by that is that by writing, you will automatically start creating your own style of writing, where you're not really sure in the beginning you might copy someone's writing style, at least the way they write, but you're not really copying their ideas, which is what really matters, or like their words exactly. So you always develop your writing. Like even now, if I go ahead and check my writing 6 months ago, it's very different to how it is right now. Even in anything that I write, tweets, threads, newsletters, sales emails, they're all different. So you don't really find your voice, you develop it by writing yourself, by writing and with time, really, because just writing for 2 days in a row, you're not really gonna see a huge difference in your writing style or in your voice. But as you keep writing more tweets, more newsletters, whatever it is that you are writing, you will start to get to the groove and finally feel like you're connecting with yourself, because the only reason you feel that way is because you can articulate your ideas in a better way. And that's what really I think people are saying when they are telling you, hey, I don't have a voice. They're saying that because they don't really know how to say what they're thinking. And the only way you get better at it is by writing. But like as for templates and not really copying others, one thing I like to say is templates aren't for copycats. Like you're not copying someone by using templates. Templates are just training wheels for you to practice. And just like how you started riding a bicycle, you had training wheels in the beginning, and then you started riding a bicycle with just 2 wheels. And it's the same thing with writing. You get templates at first because templates, copywriting frameworks, whatever you want to call them, it's just psychology on paper. It's been proven time and time again. And so you refusing to use what's been time tested and like in the real world as well, it just means one, you have too big of an ego where you think you can solve anything by yourself, which is not really the case. And two, when you refuse it, you actually miss out and prolong the learning curve that you would have had. So if you use frameworks, you're gonna start picking up on what really works much faster, and you'll progress faster. You'll start to notice, oh, we are structuring our writing in this way because it makes it more persuasive because of 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. And so that is what I like to think about, which is frameworks are just ways to articulate your idea. And with time, as you use them more often, you won't really rely on them as much to articulate your ideas, and you can just write them on your own because it becomes second nature for you. And that's how you develop your voice. That's how you become more articulate, get better at writing and persuasion.
Cool. Yeah. It's a good analogy, using the training wheels. and getting over the ego a bit
Yeah.
to be teachable.
I had a big problem. Like one of the reasons why I couldn't find like success early on, because I think it took me like a year and a half of writing until I had my first viral thread, which was posted in Cortex in the community, was just because I had a big ego and I was like, oh, I'm better than all of the writers on X. But I didn't have any followers to prove it, and I've been writing for so long. Then I was like, just me like telling myself that I am better is a lie, because if I was better, I would actually see success. And then when I said, okay, I'm not actually that good, let me really focus on the basics once again, because everything comes back to the basics. That's when I started finding success with writing. And I had to basically swallow my ego. Until now, I swallow my ego like every single day. With every email that I write, I'm like, I'm still a beginner. I'm just trying to learn. And honestly, having that beginner's mindset is the best way you can learn anything. It's because like you will always be honing on the foundations, which is built, which is what is used for anything else that is more expert level. If you know the basics, you can do anything that you want.
Yeah, I think I remember you writing about how even when you're teaching something, often just focusing on the basics obviously speaks to the beginners, but once you have some level of expertise, even speaking to people who have some expertise, they mostly need reminders of the beginner stuff, right?
Yeah,
Keep on deepening your understanding of the basics.
yeah, yeah. I've almost so there's a guy called Kieran Drew who I look up to a lot. I bought almost all of his courses, and then earlier this year he had a group coaching format which I joined. Almost every single course that he has, the first module is the basics. Who are you writing to? What writing style you want? Like, what do you want to write about? Like, it's always about the basics. Even in the group coaching, where he took more experts, let's say, like writers who are in an expert level, or like at least more advanced. That the first 2 weeks, it was just like the basics, and to me, I was like, oh yeah, I already know this stuff. But every time I was doing the same exercises, it was like, oh my God, I'm getting so much better. Like I understand. I have some epiphanies of when I'm writing or whatever it is. And like even now with my content, I always go back to the basics. I'm like, who am I writing to? What am I trying to get across? Where do I want them to go? Why should they listen to me? And I just write about them.
Now, hey, a lot of people listening, they might not have taken any courses online before. They might not really know what we mean when we say creator economy.
Yeah.
And they might even think like a lot of these things that people are trying to sell on the internet are probably scams. And you and I both have probably bought stuff that underdelivered and was practically a scam. So what could you say about how people can go about determining, what actually might be of real value in this creator economy space? And maybe we can kind of bridge from that to talking about what the heck the creator economy is.
Yeah, good question. Because my first experience of buying something from a creator wasn't a good experience. If anything, I thought I got scammed.
Yeah.
I think I bought a program for like 800. Turned out it was like almost 5K, and it was like monthly payments of like 800. So I didn't know that, and the program was very underwhelming, under delivered. But then like I bought other courses, and then I realized the value. I think my main problem as a beginner when I first wanted to invest in a program or in a course is one, whoever you're trying to buy from, if they're always trying to sell you, like this might sound very basic to say, but get rich quick schemes don't really work. Like, hey, make 20K a month and 3 months, let's say in 12 weeks, as a complete beginner with no skills or an audience, that's unrealistic. And looking back at it, I was kind of dumb to think that I would get to 20K
Well,
a month.
Naval Ravikant says, beware of people who they're just trying to show you how they got rich fast because they're just giving you their winning lottery numbers.
Yeah. It's unfortunate I didn't know Naval at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's like someone who always tries to show you, like, promises you the world when you have nothing is a red flag. If someone's entire brand is about, look at how good my life is, let me teach you, that's kind of a red flag. It obviously depends. I would say, like, the best way you can go about, like, buying a program is buy from someone who you like. It sounds kind of counterintuitive, but if you like a person's content, the way they write, their beliefs, their ideas, whatever it is, you just like them, buy their content. If anything, you will see what that person is truly like. So and most probably that experience will be a good experience just because you like them. And one thing is, when you buy from someone that you like, someone, a creator you enjoy consuming, you will perceive, or like you will interpret their information and see their information as something that's a lot more valuable than if you heard it from someone you didn't really care about. And so always buy from someone you like, but please, please be careful about get rich quick schemes. And like something who, I don't know, like if someone's trying to sell you something and it's not them, especially like they have a sales team, I would just have like, hey, be ready, like something is kind of off here. But yeah.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting problem in the coming years, especially with more and more people thinking that they're about to find this easy way to get rich, and then they create like an AI generated course to sell in 5 minutes. Or, everything's just generated and they don't even know. If you ask them questions about the content, they couldn't even answer it.
Yeah.
So people will be concerned about this trust problem. But that's a great answer. I think that when you like, you can tell when you really resonate with someone.
Yeah.
And then you can go from there.
Yeah. Like with something about like AI generated content, I think the future of social media and creating content, like the people who actually care about their ideas and showing personal brands in general, will become more popular in the future. As AI keeps on growing, personal brands will be even more important. Because I think we're seeing this right now in our Instagram reels or on X or TikTok with all of this AI generated content, which is just like hilarious to watch right now. But in the next few years, like almost everyone's content will be AI generated, and those who are actually creating authentic content will be a breath of fresh air, and they're going to be the rare ones which will capture more attention.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch, that kind of tide change, hopefully.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Well, I mentioned maybe kind of defining what the creator economy is. What does it mean to you? What if someone asked you, what is the creator economy? How would you describe that?
It's creators who run businesses. Like that is almost as simple as I can put it. It's just like, I'm a creator, I have a business, whatever that business may be. But yeah, it's just like a creator, and it's important to know that creators don't mean or is not equal to influencers. Influencers, in my eyes, are just like billboards. Like, do you know how you go around the street and there's just like a billboard ad? Those are influencers. They don't have anything of real value. But creators actually solve a problem that is real, that aren't just there for entertainment, but they are also there for education, solving real problems that people have, whatever that is. Maybe it might be a health problem, it might be an artistic problem. Like you, I know you have, you created a program which is like the unblocked carver, I think, or something. The
Yeah, I called
Wayfinder.
it the Creative Wayfinder. That one.
That's the one. Um, and so everyone is solving a real problem that other people have, and you are creating educational content, not just engagement. You're not basically engagement farming, and creating brain rot content. And so
Yeah.
for me, that is creator economy. You have an audience, you serve your audience, you solve their problems, you write content on social media to capture their attention and get them into your brand, sell them on your ideas, and help them solve their problems basically and live better lives.
Yeah. I dig that. So me running this podcast, the hope is that I can
Yeah.
help people get more understanding of things that actually help move their life forward. And so, my audience really is creators of all kinds. Some of them want to start businesses. Some of them just want to make their art.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of artists could really benefit from understanding the creator economy because, sometimes a 9-to-5 job is the way to support your art.
Yeah.
But there are other ways to engage with the economy and support your ability to just create for fun as well. So this podcast, it's a creative outlet for me,
Yeah.
bringing on different kinds of guests and picking their brain about how they do what they do. But the goal is also, it's called the Unblocked Creators. The goal is also to unblock creators, right? To help creators
Yeah.
become unblocked.
Yeah.
So it's sort of an investigation into creativity in general, but also the creator economy. And I think we'd be doing everyone a disservice to not mention we came up with the idea to run a creator economy convention.
Yeah.
So to briefly touch on that, you mentioned Kieran Drew. He's one of the speakers at the event. This is next June. Dan Coe, we mentioned. He's one of the speakers. You, Hussain Ibarra, one of the headliners. And there's a bunch of other big name, exciting, incredible people who will be involved in that. So I'm excited. It's going to be in Vancouver, British Columbia, not far from where I live. And I'm finding myself kind of one of the main organizers, putting things together here. Right now, for listeners who are interested in that, here's the sponsor plug, because I don't have a sponsor. Sorry to interrupt your programming. Just here with a little note from our sponsor, which, again, we don't actually have a sponsor. And when I say we, I mean I. I don't have a sponsor. Running this podcast is a one-man show. And what isn't a one-man show is the Living Internet Alliance, which is an organization I founded to create in-person events for the creator economy. And we have a free online community where you can join in for some quests to enhance your social skills, enhance your financial skills, and enhance your creative power and your business skills. So join in on our free quests and community as that builds up, and it'll also be involving all the ticket holders of the event, or I shouldn't say all of them, all of those who choose to interact in the community will also be there. So that's an opportunity for people who are going to the convention in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada next year, June 5th to 7th, to interact for the next several months before meeting in person. Many people who want to go to this convention maybe have already known each other online for several years and are now about to finally have a great opportunity to meet with each other and to meet lots of other incredible, cool people. Some of the speakers are Dan Coe, the legend of the creator economy, Kieran Drew, an ex-doctor who makes a $500,000 business work by writing on the internet. Taylor Simmons also has made a $500,000 in a year ghostwriting business.
and is now building a ghostwriting agency to 7 figures. And we also have Hussain Ibarra. Oh wait, you're listening to that episode, so you're learning about him. Jack Moses is a personal transformation coach. He runs Sovereign Creators on School, a community with lots of cool activity going on and lots of very valuable curriculum on offer. Lots of incredible speakers. I could drone on about them all for a while because this event is so exciting, but I do want to get back to the episode. So I'll leave you with this. Just find out what you'd be missing if you don't go by going to thelivinginternet.com. And now Hussein and I are about to talk about it for another minute or two, and in general, some valuable insights about what's going on in the creator economy space and what might be the future of the internet.
So what would you say to someone who thinks maybe they're stuck in their employment position currently, but they want to find some kind of creator career, and maybe they're listening to this on their way to work right now or during their lunch break and kind of bummed out that they got to work today? Why would it maybe be worth it to get a plane ticket or get yourself to Vancouver to get around all these kinds of people in person?
I don't just want to talk about the convention itself, but I want to talk about it in more of a big picture view, which is, you mentioned that, okay, the reader or the listener might be stuck in their job. They hate their job. They're commuting their way to work or whatever. They're stuck in traffic. And every single day they're bummed out that they have to do that work and they can't do what they love. And which is, my question to you is, why do you want to keep doing something that makes you miserable, that keeps you unhappy? And so this is why I'm really excited for this convention. It's because you get all of these cool speakers like Dan, like Kieran, like Talon Simmons, me, and a bunch of other creators as well, who have done what you want to do and who have taught beginners. And some of them have found success a while ago, some of the speakers, but also a bunch of other speakers who are finding success now and who can actually give you what you need in the now. And you'll get to speak to them. You'll get to ask them questions, listen to their talks and whatnot. And you can meet other creators who are in that convention as well. And I'm not really a big fan of networking, to be honest, but if you're good at making friends, this could be a lifelong opportunity, because you could meet your next partner in business in that convention. And just thinking about, hey, the next 3 days, I'm surrounded by all of these creators who are passionate, who are doing what they love. Everyone is chasing their goals, building their dream lives. Everyone's passionate about what they're doing. It will just light a fire in your belly to go and actually give this a try, to build your creator business, to actually give it a real try, not just dabbling in and out for, let's say, a week or 2 weeks, and then you quit and then you come back. But no, this time you will be committed. So that's one thing why I'm super excited about this convention and why I think people should join, because everyone who I know is going there, and whether they're speakers or customers who bought tickets, I know everyone is super excited about this and they want to make this work and give you the best possible experience.
Yeah, I wonder about your experience early on when you realized you were going to sort of take this unconventional path. And meanwhile, probably coworkers and various people have all these beliefs about what's possible or what you should do. Did it feel kind of lonely to you when you got started?
It still feels lonely, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because not many people actually do get it. And when you tell someone, they just think you're a scammer. online. And so that was like, there's no winning, even if you explain it to them. But yeah, like it did feel kind of lonely, especially like when I was in beginner's hell, I would say. It's not like I'm finding a lot of success. It's not like making millions of dollars, but like when I had no audience, nothing showing up every single day, 100% it was lonely. And I actually was doubting, hey, is this really worth it? Like last September, before I wrote my first thread, or like before I had my first viral thread, I told myself, hey, if I don't make it in October or like in September, then I will quit writing and I will go back to getting a job because it's been a year, more than a year, and I couldn't find any success. So why should I keep trying? It's not like I was slacking. Sure, I had a big ego and didn't want to learn. But yeah, it was very lonely. It still gets lonely sometimes because as a creator, or especially as a writer, you're spending a lot of your time thinking by yourself and you're building behind the scenes. You write content, you speak to some people, but at the end of the day, you're running a business, and businesses aren't as sexy or as glamorous as Instagram makes you think it is, where you're out sitting on the beach every single week or like writing on yachts. So yeah, like you're at the end of the day, you're running a business and it is lonely because most people don't get why you should run a business. And by the way, like on a completely different tangent, this is super funny. Like when I noticed this is almost everyone tells you whenever you're sitting with friends, family, whatever, especially elders, they're like, you need to start investing, like you need to start a business. And when you tell them like, hey, I'm actually thinking of starting a business, oh, this guy's gonna fail, oh, what do you know about a business, it's just like they discourage you. And then when you do succeed, they're like, yeah, see, he was smart, he started a business. It's like there's no winning with them. It's either you're dumb, or they knew it all along.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's just,
it takes courage.
yeah,
You have to be
like,
bold.
yeah, you need to stand up for something basically and believe in yourself that, hey, you know what? Most people don't have the life that I want to live. And living the life that I want to live means I'm gonna have to go against a lot of people and do something that a lot of people don't really agree with. And you have to be confident in it and to be at peace with it. Because not a lot of people will understand you. They will not get where you're coming from. But it doesn't mean you're wrong and that you should quit and you should listen to them.
Yeah. So I know of a few people who have worked with you and got great results with their writing and driving traffic to view what they're doing. What was my question? What are the biggest identity hurdles that people come to you with? Like, I imagine some people say, yeah, sure, I want to start a business, but I'm not a writer, or
Yeah.
something of that nature.
One thing I like to think about is everyone is a writer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you need to be writing books. Before I started writing, I thought writing was for old people who are living in wood shacks, like a hermit, and just writing books. That's legit what I thought. And they were all fat and miserable and broke. I'll be completely honest. That's how I thought writers were. But as I started writing more, I actually fell in love with this skill. Because if you are writing a text to your friend or to your mother or whoever it is, if you are writing a text, then you are a writer. If you're writing an email, you are a writer. If you can speak, you are a writer because speaking is just words with sound. That's literally it. So everyone is a writer, but like the biggest problem that I see people come to me with, which is they tell me, hey, I know I have value to give people and I have solutions. I know I can help people solve their problems, but I don't know how to get them in front of my offer or to my brand. So how do I do that? And that's essentially what I help them most with. Some people come to me and they tell me, I don't even have an audience. I need to build an audience. And that's what I help them with, whether it is with threads, writing tweets, or Substack notes, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter the platform. I just teach them the fundamentals of writing and how they should write, the way they should structure it. And then we essentially build them the audience. Other people, they come to me and they tell me, hey, I already have the audience, but I don't really know how to monetize them. I don't know what to do really. And for them, I also help them with like, hey, this is how we're going to create your offer. This is how we're going to launch it. This is how we're going to actually see, or like, this is how we're going to know that people actually want your offer before even building it. And then we're going to sell it. We're going to sell some spots even before launching the offer, which is some cool ways you can go about monetizing. But yeah, like that's essentially the two biggest problems, which is one, people don't have an audience. They think they don't have anything valuable to give to people. And that's the first identity. The second identity is people who have something valuable to give to people, but they don't know how to give it to them or like to sell them something. The third biggest identity, I would say, people have value. They know they have value they can give to people. They know they can create something, but they're underselling themselves because they think, oh, what I have isn't that valuable that justifies whatever I want to sell, or like the price that I want to sell it at. And for them, it's more of a self-limiting belief than anything. And by the way, like all of these three identities, it's all just self-limiting belief. And this made me realize that business is more like self-improvement. You just don't really know. Because the people who tell themselves, hey, I don't have anything valuable to give to people, you actually do have something valuable, you just don't know what it is. Because if you say I don't have any value, then why are you alive? You know? Like, are you a waste of oxygen? No, you're not. You have something valuable to give to people, so you can build an audience. And it's the same thing for everyone, basically.
Yeah, those limiting beliefs are also sort of contagious, right? They're sort of culture-wide beliefs a lot of the time. Like, all I'm worth is whatever someone will give me per hour, some measly amount per hour. And not to knock having a job, like making a wage can be a good foundation to pay your bills for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's really challenging, right? To overcome this belief that my time is worth a certain number of dollars. Meanwhile, people who go to therapy, for example, they'll spend like $200 for an hour, right? And that can be really worthwhile because you're potentially improving yourself in a way that improves all areas of your life. So that $200 that you paid the person, maybe they only spent an hour with you and they've got other operating expenses and they're not really making the full 200. But it's really tricky, I think, for beginners to realize that it can actually be worth it to someone to give them a larger amount of money for what they're offering. And I still struggle with that, trying to determine what's my rate, what's my worth in dollar amounts. And you've talked about setting your sort of aspirational dollar amount per hour, right? And sort of setting it at something that feels unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think about pricing in relation to the worth of what you're offering?
So I got the idea of like aspirational hourly rate from Naval Ravikant. I didn't get the idea for myself, so I have to give him the credit. But the way I like to think about aspirational hourly rate, you have to be kind of delusional. I'll be completely honest, because when you think about it, your job really pays you, let's say, what, 45, 60, $100 an hour max, like if you're really good. But if you want to make more money, then you can't really settle for $100 an hour, whatever that may be, right? Like whatever goal that you have, financial goal you have, whatever it may be, you can't really settle for $100 an hour because you will never reach it unless you want to sacrifice everything in your life and you want to work 16-hour days. Then go ahead and do it, and you'll still probably not come close to whatever financial goal you have. So you need to be kind of delusional by setting a high hourly rate. What I like to do is I always like to like 2x or 4x whatever hourly rate I want to set. So let's say if I have, my idea is, hey, I want to make $100 an hour, I'm gonna set it at $400 an hour. And the reason I do that is because this will force you to think in higher leverage, to work in higher leverage tasks that will get you that $400 instead of thinking small. And so, yeah, you need to be a bit delusional with setting your hourly rates. I think for me right now it's $450, and to just think about how last year I was selling 4-hour calls, like 4 1-hour calls for 500, so it was 125. Plus, if you factor in texting and like DMing and giving feedback, I was mostly working like $40 an hour, $50 an hour. But now I have it at like 450, which is crazy high, and that's only for one call and no support afterwards. But yeah, it's just crazy to think about, like, hey, you just need to be delusional, set a very high hourly rate and stick to it, and eventually you will get to that level.
Cool. That's great. Now, I don't want to leave listeners hanging who they actually want to write. They actually want to learn how to write and how to build an audience. And Hussein is this viral thread writing expert, so there's got to be some secret sauce, right? But I'm going to take it kind of left field first. So instead of just thinking about sitting down at the desk and writing, you're also a runner. You really prioritize things like running and physical fitness and even leisure, right? Like things that aren't quote unquote work.
Yeah.
As part of what actually feeds into the quality of your work.
Yeah.
So what do things like running provide for your ability to think that sitting at the writing desk doesn't?
So I think the main problem that we have as a modern society is there's too much input. We're too obsessed with being productive. And I still fall for that trap, by the way. It's not like I'm an angel. But people are too obsessed with being productive that they fill almost every single second of their day trying to be productive. They're going to wash the dishes. Guess what? They're going to put a podcast on. They're going to go to work. They're going to listen to a podcast. They have 5 minutes on the train. They're going to read a book. They're always doing something. And so they don't have the time and they don't leave the space for their mind to actually wander and process all of the information that they've been working on. And so for me, running or like whatever, so what I like to do is I like to block out almost 2 to 3 hours of my day to just working out, whether that is gym, running. Recently I started biking as well. And so I like to set like 3 hours, and that 3 hours I just knock out all of these 3 activities, and I just listen to music. Doesn't really matter. The music just becomes background noise, but I just get to disconnect from the internet, from any kind of input and new information. I can just think about what I want to do. And actually some of my best emails that I've written, some of my best threads came to me when I was in that 3 hour block where I wasn't really thinking about what I want to do. It just came to my head. And one thing I actually sometimes like to do is I like to lay down on my bed and do nothing. It's very hard to do, to be honest, to like force yourself, hey, I will do nothing.
Yeah.
Like not even work out. It's super hard to do. But you just start to think about everything that you could do, and sometimes you find a really good idea. And sometimes you just remember, hey, that sentence from that podcast was really interesting. I can probably turn this into a post, or at least you into a different rabbit hole. And so, like for me, right, like working out and going for a run is like is where I get my mental clarity basically. And almost every single time, as soon as I finish my run, I just want to come back home and I want to write because I feel super inspired from my run. So yeah, like I think I'll attribute like 70% of my success to just like running and working out consistently.
Yeah, that's incredible because, most employers certainly aren't going to pay you to take a 3-hour break or to lay in bed doing nothing for a while. And
Yeah.
yet it could actually harm someone's productivity to try to be effective for 8 hours straight. Right.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different model of reality to realize that resting and doing nothing can be so productive.
And like this is something that's super important for anyone who's in a creative field, is that your work isn't like normal work. You can't just say, hey, I will sit down and I will do X, Y, and Z. Your work requires creativity, and creativity is like you have a limited capacity, maybe 2-3 hours max a day, and then it just completely drains out, and you need to find a way to refill it. And the way you do it isn't by scrolling or like by consuming more information. It's by actually doing nothing. And sometimes you'll have to do nothing for a couple of days because you are so creatively drained from a project that you don't have any inspiration to do anything else. And so yeah, like when you're a creator, you're operating in a different field, especially as a writer, let's say, or a content creator in general. You're in the idea space, and ideas need time to basically merge and ferment, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Okay, so then on a more not so left field approach to talking about effective writing, you don't have to spill all the beans, but I'm also a writer. So what could you tell me? Like, I'm doing this podcast. Sometimes I like to try to turn my episodes into a thread, and I don't get a lot of attention on my writing. I've got people reading it, but what would be one of the main tools for improving your ability to make your writing get attention?
Interesting. Let me ask you this. How do you approach writing?
Oh,
And I can tell you like, oh, maybe you can do this, do that.
hey, I love
It
it.
would be better.
You're one of the first podcast guests to ask me a question. I guess a lot of my approach, I really just like to follow my curiosity and my interest. And maybe sometimes that hurts me. I don't know, right? Like sometimes there's the ego problem of like, I'm an artist. I'm going to make this a work of art. And then no one cares. Like no one looks at it. But some of the time, it's when I've followed the most strange line of interest because it was just so captivating to me. I needed to follow this thread. Haha. And that was what got the most attention. So like I wrote my 4th newsletter was about like the history of computation in relation to how to think now about our relationship to artificial intelligence and the role of humans in the economy. And like Dan Coe reposted that one. So, kind of strange. Like if I was to tell any random person on the street, hey, you should read my article about the history of computation and the difference between binary code and consciousness, they'd be like, what the hell? Why would I care about that? Right. But someone is interested in it. So maybe there's something to that.
I would say one reason, because I still remember when you were talking about that post, when you were writing it, one reason why it was so interesting and why it did so well, it was because it was related to a big idea or like a topic that everyone is interested about. Because at the end of the day, you can follow your curiosity. Yes, I actually encourage you to follow your curiosity. But you also need to know why should people care about your curiosity? Because that is what most people miss, which is, hey, I like to do X, so I will just do it without a care in the world. Well, we're, I wish that's how life is, but unfortunately, we don't live in La La Land. We live in real life, and so people at the end of the day and consumers, your readers, your viewers, they are selfish. Everyone is selfish. So always think about why should someone be reading my post? Even if it is something that you're super curious about, ask yourself, why should someone read this? And then once you start identifying what is the real reason, so you might say, why should someone care about binary code and human consciousness? I don't know what your answer it is for that, but let's just say it's super crazy, or like your idea was like, hey, it's super crazy that humans can create artificial intelligence. Like, how do you make something that isn't real to think? That might be something crazy. And then you could ask yourself, why is that really interesting?
Yeah.
Well, because if you can know how to make something like a robot think, then you can identify how you're thinking. And so again, you can ask yourself, why does that really matter? Because of how you're thinking actually affects almost every single area of your life. And so if you can fix your thinking, you can fix your life. And that is the main reason. And so now you have a clear goal that you want, a clear message that you want to send to people, which is, hey, this is why you should care about this topic that I'm writing about. And then, sure, you can go into weird rabbit holes while you're writing it, but at the end of the day, that is your main goal. And that's what you should focus on doing.
That's a great answer, because I often find myself kind of hooked by some title on Substack or something. Like what the heck is this about? It looks interesting. But then the first like paragraph doesn't tell me what's in it for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to give this my time and energy, and then I click away from it. So letting your audience know what's in it for them, and respecting that, of course they're selfish, just like me.
Yeah, legit. Like, you're writing that topic because you are selfish, because you enjoy that topic. So it's just like, it's a two-way street, and it's just unfortunate because whenever I am on Substack, because recently I've moved to also to posting on Substack. That is the biggest problem I see. It's like writers on Substack are super good at writing, but the only problem they have is just like they're super selfish and they don't care about their audience. And unfortunately, like in the words of Kieran, you're not the main hero, I think he says, or like you're not the hero of your story, that your reader is. And so always bring it back to the reader. And if you can serve your audience, your goal is to serve your audience. And when you do that, that's how you win, because a lot of people are selfish.
Yeah. Well, for people listening, I think you could notice Hussein actually demonstrated what he just said throughout this episode. He did a great job keeping you in mind and noticing the fact that you want there to be actually something of value to your life listening to this. And hopefully it was, because this conversation was of value to me. I got some great insights. Hussein, really amazing answers. Maybe we can leave people with one last thought. I noticed when you talked about when you were an employee and seeing people around you 20 years in the future, like living miserable lives. And so you sort of had your anti-vision just appear before you, right? And I'm sure you've probably worked on it since then, like worked on developing more clarity around what you really do want and don't want out of life.
Yeah.
My sense is that developing that anti-vision is one of the best ways to stick it out when things get tough, when you're working toward what you do want.
Yeah.
So what would you say about when someone is listening to this conversation, noticing, yeah, I do want something else than what I'm doing now? How do you just start to even develop? How do you even take the first step? Like, what am I going to just start writing tweets, or what's the beginning point?
The beginning point to writing online, or like to,
Yeah,
or like
to a creator path, but probably writing is the focus.
the starting point. Well, the starting point should be you. Like, why? This would be like kind of cliche to say, but why do you really want to start writing online, or like to start creating content? You would say, hey, I just want to create content because I think it's fun. Then I would tell you, what do you think is fun to create? You would tell me, I really like creating it. I don't know. Oh, I want to do my makeup, or like talk about makeup, or I want to talk about health and nutrition. And then you can ask yourself, okay, why should other people now care about that as well? And if you know that, just know what you want to create, whatever it is. You don't need to have a niche, by the way. You can write about whatever you want. You can create about whatever you want. Just say, what am I interested in writing about or creating? Ask yourself, why should other people create? And then write the first thing. So you can start off with a newsletter. What I like to do, even now, before I start writing a newsletter or anything, I just go ahead and sit down and I write like 2-line tweets or like 1-line tweets, which are just like very big idea, which is, hey, this is my big idea for this topic that I'm writing about. As you start writing tweets, I think tweets, by the way, is the best way to start. Like writing tweets or Substack notes, they're the best way to start because you can condense big ideas and they're very low friction to create. If you're doing Instagram Reels or TikToks, you're gonna have to film yourself. A lot of people don't feel confident in filming themselves. You're gonna stumble on your words a lot. You're self-conscious. Hey, am I looking dumb? So you can just avoid all of that by writing and getting better at articulating it. And then if you want, you can turn your tweets into videos. But again, just keep in mind that that will add more friction to your content. That's a big mistake I see people make, which is they try to be on all platforms in the very beginning. Sure, it sounds super easy, which is, hey, I'll just write tweets. I'll film myself talking, like reading this tweet out loud. But then guess what? It suddenly goes from like taking an hour of your day to like 3 hours because now you need to edit, you need to like the amount of retakes. So the best way you can start is either on Substack or Twitter. Write short form content because one, it will give you fast feedback. So every time you write a piece of content, people can like it and comment and you will see engagement. If you don't see engagement, that's a data point for you to try something else. Or to write about a new idea or something, or rewrite the same idea just differently. And when you do have a winning idea, like you see a tweet that is doing really well, a thread that's doing really well, a Substack note that's doing really well, take advantage of it and rewrite it in a different way. Keep the same big idea intact and rewrite it in a different way. For example, I'll give you one for my own brand that I'm doing right now, which is on Substack. For some reason, whenever I'm talking about my journey about writing online and how my first year and a half was hell, but now I have 25,000 followers across 2 platforms, and I tell them, hey, consistency is key, which sounds like very generic, but guess what? Every single time I write about it, I get over 100 likes, 200, even one of them got 1.5k likes, which is, that's clear data point. Just keep talking about the same thing and it will keep doing well. For example, I'm always, let's say if I took my story from the very beginning to right now, and there's a time skip in between, and I say consistency is key, that's one post. I can take a middle story, so a small part of that story, and I can say, hey, this is that transformation I've had, consistency is key. That's a different post and it's a different way. So that's why I like short form content a lot, because you get to write a lot, you get to create a lot of data points for you to go off of. And so tweets is the best way to go, or Substack notes.
Oh, I think that's super helpful. So in the description of this episode, there will be a link for Hussein's Substack and his X. Go study his content. Go read and find more of these insights. And Hussein, thanks so much. This was a blast. Always a pleasure connecting with you, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I generally enjoyed this a lot. We should do more of this in the future.
I think so. I think so. We'll do it again. All right.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day, my friend.
You too. Likewise.